Hi, Blake and Matt from footballboost.co.uk, and today we're back on the boot battle game. See Nike's Mercurial Superfly V take on adidas X16 Pure Chaos. Which boot comes out on top? Let's find out. So this is the 5th generation of Superfly. It follows the 4th generation and it's marketed for those speed players, the likes of Ronaldo, Kevin De Bruyne, Dimitri Payet, Anthony Martial and Alexis Sanchez will headline the Mercurial Superfly V. In saying that, this boot can be worn by anyone on the pitch. It's not just designed for speed and attacking players. Wingbacks, central defenders, even goalkeepers can wear this football boot.
So unlike Nike Superfly, which comes in its 5th generation model, the Pure Chaos by Adidas is actually a brand new range. However, just like the Superfly, it's marketed for the speed player, so you'll see players like Bale, Suarez, Müller, Di Maria and Alaba lacing up in the Pure Chaos boots.
So arguably the Mercurial Superfly V's main feature is the new speed rib design. It's designed to offer an additional friction when you're in contact with the ball, especially when you're striking the ball for shooting. So on the lateral side of the boot, the speed ribs are much thinner than what you see on the medial side. The medial side has much denser and much thicker speed ribs. As you can see, the speed rib design is split by this pink and total crimson design, a very sharp and modern design by Nike Football.
So similar to the Superfly 5 having its main feature of a speed rib upper, the Pure Chaos also features an upper as its main feature of the Pure Cut sock system, which really creates a seamless strike and increases the striking and touching surface across the entire forefoot.
Now the one thing you'll notice straight away with the Mercurial Superfly V is that it fits very narrow. It's got a very narrow fit. The last is quite narrow. It was very similar to the Superfly 4, so it will be tight fitting. Wide-footed footballers out there, it may not be the best boot for you. With the Mercurial Superfly 4, you could go half a size down for a perfect fit, but we suggest going true to size in the Mercurial Superfly 5. The Mercurial Superfly 5 will be very easy to break in. We don't see any carbon fibre on the sole plate, and the speed ribs will help to flex the boot properly.
So looking at the fit of the Pure Chaos boots, and it will be quite tight. That's because of the tech fit compression which wraps the midfoot and also around the ankle. However, it won't be as tight as the Superfly because it does have a wider last. Just like the Superfly 5, the Pure Chaos in terms of sizing is true to size. I went from a usual UK 10.5 and that was perfect for me, so true to size is the way to go. The Pure Chaos boots are actually really easy to break in. Straight out of the box, and you can feel that the upper is actually really soft to touch, and that continues when they're actually on feet. The sole plate is a sprint frame, so it may just take a couple of sessions just to become a bit more user friendly.
So like on the Superfly 4, the Superfly 5 has the dynamic fit collar, which does wrap the ankle for a sock-like feel and fit. It's designed to work in sync with the bureau cables, the laces, the Flyknit upper and the new contoured sole plate to make this boot very responsive. Now the upper of the Superfly 5 is much like the 4's. It uses a Flyknit upper from heel to toe. The added speed ribs are actually made of Flyknit as well for a slightly more thicker and cushioned touch than on the Superfly 4. Again, you'll see a central lacing system which work with the bureau cables on both sides of the boot to really lock down your foot into the shoe. The bureau cables actually merge with the new speed rib design to make this boot much more structured than on the Superfly 4, a very, very responsive boot by Nike Football.
So the upper of the Pure Chaos boots features a tech fit compression. It's thinner and softer than what you'll find on the Flyknit like on the Superfly 5, however that does mean there'll be less protection. So looking at the lacing system, and this is where the Pure Chaos boots really come into their own. It features a central lacing system, but it does have that lace cover, which creates a larger touching and striking surface, which is what the boots are all about. There's no doubt that the Superfly 5 is a very responsive boot, and that is partly due to the bureau cables. There's no responsive structures going on with the Pure Chaos. It has no cage, it just has the laces to pull tight.
In terms of the feel of the upper, the speed ribs really enhance friction on the ball. It's a very minimal effect, but you can tell the difference when you're striking, passing and dribbling the ball. So on the lateral side of the boot, as I mentioned before, the speed ribs are much thinner and less dense than what you see on the medial side of the boot, on the Pink Blast side. On the Pink Blast side, medial side of the boot, you've got much thicker speed ribs for striking the ball. In terms of weather technologies or texture technologies, we have ACC on the Mercurial Superfly 5, you saw it on the Superfly 4. and it's really designed to provide a consistent touch in both wet and dry conditions. Definitely a good thing to have in the Superfly 5.
So taking a closer look at the upper itself, and the Superfly 5 had those speed ribs to enhance a bit of friction, and what the Pure Chaos has is an almost slash-like graphic. And although it may not affect performance as much as the speed ribs, it still might create a little bit more friction on the ball. So to ensure you'll get consistent grip on the ball, the Pure Chaos features adidas's NSG technology, which is that dotted application on top of the upper, very similar to Nike's ACC, but it actually does have that almost rough texture to it.
Another standout feature to the Superfly 5 is the new contoured Soleplate. It mirrors the shape of your foot for a much more responsive feel and fit. It's 40% lighter than the carbon fibre seen on the Superfly 4, and the one difference to the Superfly 4 is that it's not flat. The Soleplate actually mirrors the shape of your foot. It's got that split toe design in the forefoot, and in the midfoot it's raised to really support that arch under your foot. A really responsive Soleplate by Nike Football. Now you've got chevron design studs on the forefoot and chevron design studs on the heel. On the heel it's designed for braking, they're positioned in a way which enhances braking, and on the forefoot it's purely designed for acceleration. So a combination of braking and acceleration in one, definitely a much better Soleplate than the Superfly 4.
So although being different in design, the Pure Chaos and Superfly Soleplates are actually quite similar. The Pure Chaos features a sprint frame Soleplate which is stiff, just like the Superfly's nylon chassis, and they're both designed to be lightweight and very responsive. So where the differences come in terms of the outsole is the Superfly 5 features chevron and arrowhead-like studs which are great for acceleration and braking power. The Pure Chaos, on the other hand, features more traditional conical studs, which is a bit of a hybrid between 3G and FG surfaces.
Weight-wise, the Superfly 5 ranges in at around 190 grams, and it also depends on the size you have, so it's going to be much lighter than the Superfly 4. Price-wise, the Mercurial Superfly 5 is at the high end on Nike's market. It's going to price in at £240, which is pretty much the highest thing you can pay for a football boot.
So just like the Superfly 5, the Pure Chaos boots are very premium and aimed at the elite players. That's why the price tag is around £230.
Design wise, we see a total crimson, pink blast, black volt yellow colorway applied to the Superfly 5. You see total crimson on the lateral side of the boot and pink blast on the medial side of the boot, with black interweaving on the speed ribs. Volt yellow colors the big swoosh logos and the Mercurial branding and stud tips. Overall, a very sharp and modern design by Nike Football.
The Pure Chaos boots were launched within the Mercury pack, which is why it has that metallic silver, solar red and black colorway, which looks really slick in person.
So if we talk about performance pros, so which boot is actually better? The Superfly 5 is much more responsive. The Soleplate, Brio cables, dynamic fit collar, studs and speed ribs work together to make this boot very, very responsive. The Superfly 5 is also the lighter boot of the two. It's just 10 grams lighter than the X16 Plus Pure Chaos. And overall, the Superfly 5 is a much higher quality product than what we see on the X16 Plus Pure Chaos. The Soleplate won't flake away. The whole durability of the Superfly 5 is very good.
So looking at which boot is actually better, well, what it comes down to is a personal preference. But what you can say is that the Pure Chaos is wider fitting and it has that sprint frame last. It's more seamless due to the Pure Cut sock system, and also it has the FG AG compatible Soleplate due to the conical studs. So what it comes down to really is up to you.
So the performance cons of the Superfly 5 is that yes, it is a speed boot, so protection won't be the greatest. You've got a very thin upper, the speed ribs will help to protect your foot slightly, and it's also very narrow fitting. The X16 Plus Pure Chaos is much better in that category because it's much wider fitting, and this boot can only be used on firm ground surfaces, so like we're doing today on AG surfaces, the durability will be reduced.
So although the Pure Chaos boots do have its really big pros, it does have some cons too. There is low protection because the upper is so thin and so soft, and also the Soleplate durability because it does have that chrome finish that will flake off over time.
So which boot is better, the Mercurial Superfly 5 or the X16 Plus Pure Chaos? Personal preference, I would go for the X16 Plus Pure Chaos because it's wider. I'm someone with really, really wide feet. Yes, the Superfly 5 does fit me, but it's just too narrow in the midfoot. It's one of the most responsive boots, or the most responsive boot on the market, but I'd go for something a bit wider. What about you, Matt?
It's a bit of an interesting one for me because in terms of comfort in the boot that I'd actually wear to play my matches, I'd go for the Pure Chaos because they are actually a lot more comfortable than the Superfly 5. But saying that, in terms of performance, I'd go for the Superfly 5. So it's a bit of a hard one for me. I'd go for the Pure Chaos in terms of comfort, but in terms of performance, the Superfly 5 performs really well.
So which boot would you choose, the Superfly 5 or the X16 Plus Pure Chaos? Please vote in our poll card now with which boot you would choose. Thank you very much for watching, and as always,
We'll see you next time.
come on, that's probably better than my best one.